how to follow your heart, intuition, your soul, the source, God, consciousness. How to hear the message, how to follow the feeling, how to discern, how to keep the mind away. It is one of the most common questions that everyone asks. And this following, we may say, or listening, goes deeper and deeper and deeper within yourself. So if we put it in the scale of consciousness, you will realize that everyone from time to time gets this intuitive sense. Every human being from time to time gets intuitive sense, and that is called generally intuition or following the heart. For the average human being, then there is of course a mechanism of mental analysis that immediately the intuitive feeling is analyzed, and that kills already half of the intuition when the intuition is overly analyzed. And then of course all the pros or the cons come into the mind. Should I still do it? My heart says so, but I may need more understanding, or there are the negative things, or it makes no sense. Your heart tells you something, but your mind, it makes no sense. So it means you have a nonsense programming, a programming that doesn't make sense. Or it can be circumstances that might be challenging or prevent you from following your heart and intuition. And thus you will say, well, my heart says to do this, but I can't do this because I have other plans and I have other appointments, and or simply my wife doesn't allow me, or my husband, or this or that, and thus the intuition and heart gets ignored. Now, what is intuition? We should start with that. What is intuition? Intuition, inner tuition. Inner tuition is inner learning, how to listen to yourself and how to align to yourself, how to come back in harmony with yourself. And intuition commonly comes as a feeling, sometimes as a message in your mind, intuitive message or intuitive feeling most commonly. And where does it come from? Well, it comes from nowhere else but you. And of course, you are not the logical mind, the reasoning, and you're not even the heart chakra as such, the heart center only itself. You're something deeper, something we may say behind that sends that intuitive message into this body and reaches the mind. So hopefully the body-mind system will actually listen to something deeper, which generally is called spirit, but this is a very generic term. However, a little bit more accurate term would be higher self or your higher consciousness. So intuition comes from your higher self or your higher consciousness, from a higher place, and you may call it mainly the fifth dimension or upwards. And your higher self can simply see the 3D reality as a chessboard or as a labyrinth. And your higher self simply knows that in the next hour or the next day, you should make that kind of move, or you should not make that kind of move. Because your higher self can see the time. Time is linear as a stream, but the higher self can see it from above and can see, okay, so if you do this, this is gonna happen. So I will send myself or my body-mind mechanism and a message not to do this or to do something differently, with the hopes that the body-mind mechanism will actually listen to it, listen to the soul, listen to the higher self, listen to the spirit, and hopefully avoid the pitfall, avoid a challenge, a necessary situation, or causing harm to somebody else or yourself. So intuition comes from your higher self. Simply put, spirit, more correctly, higher self, to be more precisely, starting in 5D. As you meditate a bit more, you start to connect with yourself a bit more in a deeper way. So you start to connect with yourself in even deeper dimension. Let's say the 6D, 7D, or 8D, or 9D, and that's where your presence is, even higher dimensional awareness. So you start getting message or intuition, connectedness, even with a higher dimensional awareness. And thus your intuition grows bigger and stronger, or as I usually say, it's put on a loudspeaker. You turn up the volume so that you can hear it a bit more clearly and that your mind resists a bit less. So you learn how to start to follow your heart and how to start following your higher self. And it's a process of surrendering. And it's a process of trusting yourself a lot deeper than the logical reasoning or the circumstances. Sometimes all the circumstances might be against you or against that decision or against that action. Or the whole life tells you you should do this, but your intuition says you shouldn't do this. But everybody says you should do this. And what do? So commonly in the movies you see as the very height of intuition, guess where it comes? Can anyone guess? Like, what's the very height of that? The very highest point of intuition. Should I do this or should I not? It's in your wedding day. All the movies show that, isn't it? It's the last moment, and and even then the priest says, if anybody else has anything to say, speak now or hold your truth forever. So you see, this is already a manifested, situation, a movie situation where this intuition gets exposed in its highest, in its, the biggest form. So the wedding day is the last chance to say yes or no. However, you should live your life every day with your intuitive sense, and that is purely connectedness with your self, deeper self, higher self. I am presence, connectedness with your soul, which is in a even higher dimension. And eventually, still, what is intuition? Is it you whispering you? Yes. You from higher place? Yes. Is it your own soul? Well, yes. And how about God? How about consciousness? How about the self? Well, yes. It is no other than God, consciousness, self, whispering you as you what is best for you. So turning it upside down a little bit, like 180 degrees another direction, there is a saying that God has the most perfect plan for every soul, for every human being, the most perfect plan. But you guess what? Is everybody following that? Certainly not. So yes, God has the most perfect plan. You know, your soul has the most perfect plan. But guess what? When everybody was born on this planet, everybody forgot about the plan and started to listen to the mind, to the social conditioning, to the parents, to the school, to the media. Oh, look at the advertisement. Oh, look on your phone, there's a new notification. Forget intuition. Something posted something on Facebook. That's how it is, unfortunately, today. Yeah, so however, your intuition that comes to every single human being, literally everybody had moments of intuition, no matter at which level of consciousness. It is yourself giving you a message how to make your life better. And the problem is the ignorance. That is the problem. The problem is the ignorance. The problem is programming. The problem is conditioning, and generally what's called the mind. And the way the mind functions is that immediately when it gets a feeling, it starts to analyze it. So you already kind of nearly kill your intuition 50% by starting to fully analyze it. And then you start putting even in more mental framework, and how about this, how about that, and this and that. And then should I speak with my mom? Should I speak with my friend? Should I ask my best friend? Best friend says, no, you shouldn't do this. I want you to stay here. I don't want you to go anywhere. And then you say, well, maybe I shouldn't go anywhere. And, and that's how your intuition goes to dust. So all that mental convincing, that's what it is. Should I do this or not? Am I truly convinced that my intuition is correct? This is what the mind says. And the more you analyze it, the less likely you are actually gonna follow it. That's how the mental processes usually work, unless you actually develop healthy mental processes of surrender, meditation, and learning to trust yourself, so some of the ways to strengthen your intuition is, of course, meditation, number one. So that's how you truly connect with yourself. Learning to trust yourself, number two. Learning to truly listen to yourself, or even we can say give a little bit of time just to allow that feeling to be here before thinking. Just to slow down when you get intuition, to slow down, to sink a little bit deeper into it, And don't start thinking right away. Just give it a few moments at least. Just allow it to strengthen that intuitive sense. And that's how you will know deeper and more certainly that that's the right thing to do. Now, many people also ask, especially when they meditate, um, is this intuition or is that intuition? You know, you get a dream, is that intuition? Or you meditate and you hear some kind of other voice from someone, is that intuition? Most likely not. Because your intuition, when you feel it, you immediately get a sense that it's a right thing. That's how your intuition functions. It is different from advice. So sometimes when you meditate, you get some other thoughts or other, maybe a voice telling you something. Well, basically like even your friend telling you something in the same way. And that's advice. So let's be clear about it. If you hear somebody else telling you, whether it's your friend or in meditation, it's advice. It's not your intuition, it's advice. But your intuition comes from you, inside you, your heart, and it immediately feels the right thing. But sometimes you might get scared of that. Oh no, can I do this? Or that sounds too big, or I can't handle it. If your intuition gave you that feeling, you can handle it. Your intuition will never give you a feeling, something that you can't handle. So let's give a little credit to God, to the universe, to your soul, that they kind of are more intelligent than your brain is and that your mind is. So when you get your intuition, you can handle it. You can do it. You might need to toughen up a bit. You might need to be a little bit more brave, a little bit more courageous, but you can surely do it because that is the reason why your intuition came to you. So you can surely do it. Maybe your mind cannot handle it. And that's why you should do some meditation. Yeah, so essentially, to summarize, at first, intuition comes as a sense. You know, you may take a shower and then like, oh, you get a sense. Or you may drive a car and oh, you get a sense. Or you may do something else. Usually when you're not thinking too much, the intuition finds a little gap between the clouds of your thoughts, between the noodle soup, like, oh, that's my chance, like, yeah, so intuition finds that little gap in your mind and oh, it gives you that feeling, you know, usually when you're in the shower doing something else, when you can't think too much. So that's how it comes for the average person. Then when you meditate, you connect more and you connect deeper, and then the loudspeaker of your intuition, the volume goes up. So then your higher self tells it more clearly, you know, you start hearing more clearly, you start listening more attentively or more deeply. And when you listen more deeply, then you hear better. And of course, as you progress in your reopening of consciousness, you connect more and more with yourself, and intuition is you, no other than you. And eventually, coming back to the full consciousness or self-realization, well, you are intuition because you every moment you are hearing yourself. There is no more filtering happening. So you are with yourself as yourself. You can hear yourself totally fully. And you remove all these um, restrictions and boundaries and limitations and impositions and I need to convince yourself. or a need to convince others, and you overcome all these obstacles, generally we may say. And so that's how it goes, the full cycle, you know, from a little bit of light shining through the noodle soup of the mind, you know, and then the mind is cleared, so you hear yourself better, until one day you become your intuition, because you are yourself, your natural self, as in full consciousness or self-realization, enlightenment, and whatever name you want to give it. You are yourself. And therefore, well, of course, you can hear yourself. So that is the essence or essentials of the intuition, and how to listen to your heart. It's the same thing. And you just hear yourself better and better. And you realize that um, by truly following yourself is that you will fulfill yourself, and you will surely also help others in the best possible ways. And in my personal case, when I was living in UK and planning to go to New Zealand, like everybody was like, oh my God, you know, you couldn't go anywhere far on this earth. You know, like, why are you going to New Zealand? You know, it's there's nowhere further you could ever go, because it's right next to the South Pole, you know. So everybody was saying like, you know, yeah, he's just, you know, going like way too far, you know, like to New Zealand. But I just had intuition, and I had no doubt about it, and I knew it, and I planned for it, and I did it, and all the good things happened. And of course, immediately I realized it was the right thing to do, and yeah, all the things were opening, and beautiful things were happening, and had to change a relationship, and of course sell the car and everything. And you know, it's like, oh my God, you know, like leaving your life as it was. So some people, you know, wouldn't even dare to do that, but that's the best thing you can do sometimes, you know, to change a country, to change the environment, of course, if your intuition tells you so. And if your intuition tells you so, it means it's possible sooner or later. That's also an important one, because it may not seem to be possible today, but maybe in 2 years. And if your intuition tells you, well, listen to it and start planning for it. Use your brain for the right reason. Use it for planning what your intuition tells you. So that leads us to another question: who is the boss? Is it your pre-programmed mind, or is it your intuition, your soul, God, consciousness, yourself? Who is the boss? Who are you listening to? So that's another good inquiry. Who are you listening to? Yes, of course, there are external influences, you know, all your friends and family. And then there are all the internal influences, like your programming, your conditioning. Sometimes even your morals and your values, because sometimes you were raised to do only this way or do only that way, but your intuition says, well, now it's time to grow up a little bit. And then, no, I can't do this, you know, it goes against my, I don't know, morals or whatever, you know. So anyway, these would be social programming as well. Um, of course, your intuition will never tell you to do anything bad. That's another important thing. So your intuition, if something or somebody tells you to do something bad, that is not your intuition. It never works like that. Believe me, it would be not your intuition, it would be something else. So your intuition will only guide you to something which is better for yourself and for others, well, basically for the whole universe. How awesome is that? That's so great. Yeah, so when you listen to your intuition, you are helping the whole universe actually. If you truly realize that, you are helping the whole universe, everybody. Yeah, so it will never tell you to do anything bad. That would be not right. So yeah, so these are the essentials, and the way forward is listening, it's surrendering, and meditating to get more clarity, to clean the mind, to decondition the mind, and of course, it's a whole journey, it's a whole process, and as always, it's the best thing that can ever happen, because when intuition comes, it's a much deeper wisdom. As I said before, you know, your physical life is a stream, like a river. You know, the past you cannot change, the present is like this, the future you will make it, and it goes like a stream for majority. And the higher self, your intuition, just sees it from above. It's like, imagine you're standing on a river shore, and you're seeing I don't know, you're seeing a fish and the fisherman. So you can do two things. You can throw a pebble into the water so that the fish doesn't get caught, or you can distract the fisherman so that the fish doesn't get caught. And of course, that comes from a good intention, you know, because you know, killing a fish, it's either not the best intention for everybody. So so you can see simply things from above. You can see what's flowing in the river. You can even see that, you know, maybe you're canoeing and there's a waterfall. You know, if you turn to the right, that's a waterfall. If you turn to the left, it's going to be a peaceful river. So your higher self tells you left, left, left. Like, you know, and so, but it's literally like that, you know. If you turn to the right, well, there's a waterfall. Something bad is gonna happen, or you will simply not be able to do it. And that leads us to another topic of um, life manifestation. So, in the average common sense, in the average sense of, you know, the average people, essentially intuition comes, but there's so much conditioning that it rarely ever gets fulfilled, that people rarely ever follow their heart. So, well, the good news is that your soul, God, consciousness, they're very patient. You know, they are, well, basically eternal. You are eternal. You are eternal. Your soul is eternal. So but for this example, let's say that your soul is very patient, while the physical life, well, is very short. And so if you don't follow your soul first time, well, you know what to do. You know, the soul will give you a message when the next opportunity comes. This is important. When the next opportunity comes, or when the next right moment comes. And you might need to wait for it. A week, a month, a year, 10 years for the next right moment. And that's exactly the case. How do you want to live your life? Do you want to continuously miss on opportunities? Do you want to continuously ignore your soul? Your soul has no problem, you know, it's gonna wait. There's gonna be a next lifetime. Don't worry, it doesn't worry about that. But your mind should worry a little bit. So the soul and God, they're very patient, you know, millions of years, billions of years, no big deal. There's always a next lifetime waiting for you. However, if you want to live your life fulfillingly and truly and absolutely, and to realize yourself and to live it in the highest way, then it's time to really follow your intuition and to take that seriously. Because life is like a vortex of manifestations and opportunities. It's like an ever increasing vortex. Yeah, so if you start here at the bottom, and if you don't follow your intuition, well, you're not going to go to the next cycle, to the higher vibrational cycle. So you're going to still be looping around the current cycle. So not only you're going to be looping around in the current cycle, it's basically you're going to be resitting the same school year. Yeah, so you know, in the school, if you're not a good student, if you didn't pass the exams, well, guess what? You're gonna resit the same year again. So that's how it works in the whole universe. If you are not following your intuition, you're gonna be looping around until the next moment comes, until the next opportunity comes, and maybe then you will listen to your intuition. So then you will have an opportunity to go higher. And the more you align yourself with listening to your, following your intuition, the more you start aligning with the higher vibrational vortex, and you start to manifest your life, not only internal experience, which is of course your happiness, your joy, fulfillment and love and peace and so forth, but also you start to manifest outward external circumstances in a higher vibrational way. So therefore, following your intuition is actually aligning with the way of life, with the way of universe and evolution, and not needing to resit the same lessons again and again and again, because that's why you're getting these repeated lessons again and again and again. Why? Because you're not following your intuition. That's why you're looping around. So that's how it simply works. That's how the universe is designed. And the universe is designed for you to evolve, we may say so, or simply come back to your soul, to the consciousness itself. If you really understand what I'm saying now, you have the master key to your whole life. You have the master key to your future lifetimes. And that is simply the way that life, universe, energy works. This is the universal program or the universal laws or physics. So it's simply how it works. And what is suffering? Not following the rules, not following the universal rules. I'm not talking about people rules. I'm not talking about bribed politician rules, you know, or bribed lawyer rules. I'm speaking about the rules of the universe. If you don't follow them, well, that's called suffering. And you're causing trouble to yourself and to others. It's just simply how it works. So therefore, as I mentioned before, following your intuition is not only for the good of yourself, but for the good of others and even the whole universe, because the whole universe wants things to be in harmony, in alignment, in naturalness, the way it is designed. And all the suffering is created because of being unnatural, not following the way that nature is, the universe is. Going against the river, pedaling against the river, and then telling, why is life so difficult? Because you're pedaling against the river. Why life is so difficult? Well, you're making trouble to yourself, you know, and that's called ignorance. Yeah, so on another note, following your intuition is challenging as well. It is challenging. Sometimes it's gonna be really not easy, I'm telling you right now. And I'm speaking from my own experience. You know, I've did so many challenging things like that you would never even imagine, and just knew that I had to do it and just follow it. And it turned out well, and it turned out according to what was necessary in a higher way. So following your intuition can be hard. Yes, it can be. It depends how much resistance you have. It depends how attached you are to people around you, to the environment, to your job. And the more you're attached, the more you're conditioned, the more difficult it might be. However, everybody will have a certain challenge. It doesn't matter if you're even on a high level of consciousness. Sometimes you get these challenges. Sometimes you just get them, and sometimes it is gonna be hard, and you're gonna have to make a lot of changes, and maybe not everybody's gonna be happy about that, but essentially you gotta do that because you know that, and it might be tough for a while. It might be difficult for a while, and people, of course, are very habitual beings, and everybody likes comfort. And why should I follow my intuition? I have such a good life right now. And why would I do something like that? And sometimes you have to come out of your comfort zones, because in your comfort zones you become ignorant. If you become too cushy, you become ignorant. You start sleeping, and therefore it is always in the middle between comfort and alertness. You don't have to be worried. Yeah, you don't have to be worried, but in between comfort, there is alertness, and essentially that's called awareness, and it's called consciousness. And you always follow that kind of a middle way. Middle way. You can be very comfortable, but you should be very aware, very alert, and basically to be like a cat. In one moment you can just be napping, sleeping, and it's just something a little bit, and oh, you're fully focused. So cat is an amazing example of relaxation and alertness. Yeah, so I'm simply trying to give you all advices from all angles of how it is to follow your intuition. If you have any questions, write them down or write it in the chat, and we will cover them at the end. So feel free to write your questions, and we can discuss them at the end after the meditation. And as a summary, I would like to say that there is nothing greater than following your soul. And there's nothing more fulfilling than following your soul. And there's nothing more beautiful than becoming your soul. And of course, the ultimate thing is to become yourself, self-realize, to fully open your consciousness, because that is absolutely the biggest gift that you could ever have. It is beyond any desires. It is beyond even fulfillment itself. It is more than that. And following your intuition is a beginning into this great journey to be aligned with your soul, to become as your soul, and to realize that you are everything. You are the consciousness of everything, all of it. And then you become life. You become life, you become the universe, or as life, as universe, if it's easier for you to understand. So if you are as life, or you are life, then of course you're aligned with life as life. And therefore there is no question to follow your intuition, because you are life, because you're absolutely in alignment with all the laws of life. So therefore everything comes in alignment, and you are that. And these are the cycles of manifestations. On a final note, when people make their consciousness opening very fast, you know, you come to a teacher, you come to a satsang, and you have a transmission, and you suddenly open your consciousness a lot more. And you know, so your consciousness suddenly jumps up here, but your life is still here. And sometimes there's this gap. And so you become, you know, on a higher level of consciousness, but your life is still here. All the circumstances are still here. And yes, you will need to realign your circumstances, your life, and so forth, so that you slowly, gradually realign to the new you, to who you are, to the new you. And life will take time, realignments take time, and it just takes time, but then it realigns to the new you, to your new consciousness. So therefore, the step number one is actually opening your consciousness. And step number two, what happens automatically, that your mind changes according to the new consciousness, your thoughts change, your emotions change according to the new consciousness, and even your chakras change with every level, every new level of consciousness. Your whole energy system changes according to the new level of consciousness. So if you came to full consciousness very fast and your life is still here, commonly there is a saying that you might need up to 7 years to fully realign yourself to that level of realization. Your life might take up to 7 years to fully realign to that level of realization. Yeah, so there are many things to consider and to know, but essentially it starts very simply. When you get intuitive sense, follow it. And when you get intuitive sense, give a few moments before you start analyzing it. Just let it sink deeper, and then it's gonna be easier. Okay, so now we can do a meditation all together, and we will do we can call it the intuitive strengthening, and connecting with your higher self, connecting with your soul, and clearing your consciousness, clarifying your consciousness, realigning to your full consciousness. So make yourself comfortable, make sure your spine is straight, and we will start with a guided meditation. So take a few moments to slow down. To feel your breath. Feel the space around your breath and around your heart. To give some space for silence in between your thoughts, in between your feelings, in between your emotions. For those who want to go deeper, you can visualize a golden light surrounding your heart. You can visualize the golden light surrounding your whole body. Golden light is the color of your soul. You can also surrender any resistance, any reasoning, any convincing, any need, any worrying. Surrender to that silence, peacefulness, or golden energy. Another way to strengthen your intuition is to have no expectations and simply allowing your inner self to direct you. Visualize a beautiful sunshine above you, in front of you. And you're simply receiving the sunlight. And all you can do is just to simply receive, to simply allow. The mind is like the clouds. There is a blue sky. There's a sun shining through. The stronger the sun, the quicker it evaporates the clouds. Giving some time to yourself to simply be still. For those who are ready, you can slowly start coming back. The deepest desire, the deepest wish is for the light of consciousness to shine through the wish and through desire. What you have been always waiting for is for the light of consciousness to shine through the waiting, or that which was waited for. The deepest fulfillment is for the light of consciousness to shine through. Fulfillment through every chakra, completely through your mind, completely through your emotions, completely through any qualities that you are wishing for or that you already have. And intuition becomes fully fulfilled when the light of consciousness shines through the feeling of intuition and through any other feelings, through expectation, through wanting, through desire, through wishing, through longing and waiting and needing, as well as through not wanting, avoiding, denying, resisting. When the light of consciousness shines through, everything becomes complete. It came as a little poem, I just realized. Okay, so we have a question. In the meditation, my mind gets excited like an adventurous child waiting for what the intuition comes up with the next. Yes. So in the meditation, the mind gets excited, excitement. Yes, we're speaking about excitement. That excitement comes up and then you're excitedly waiting. How about you stop waiting? Then there is excitement. So then you have this feeling of excitement, which is a very nice feeling. And the next question is, are you aware of excitement? Yes, I can see my excitement. I can observe my excitement. I can be with my excitement. And that is the opening for intuition. So that is the answer.
I feel like I'm not sure if I'm just being blinded by desire or if my intuition is actually telling me the truth. Because it's happening, like I was saying in the meditation, that both my heart chakra and my sacral chakra were resonating at the same time, you know, with the feeling I have about this particular situation with this person. And I was thinking, are they out of balance? Why am I not feeling my higher self telling me what to do with them?
Yes. When you are in a situation and then you're saying, where is my intuition right now? Then you might need to wait a little bit. Because yes, you may have a desire, you may have a projection, you may have a need, and or you might just, some people might just think too much, and the intuition will come at the right time. And therefore the best thing you can do is to meditate, is to make more space for intuition, is to sit a little bit in silence, and you can't force it. That's number one. Your mind cannot force your intuition. It's the same question. It's the same question. Who is the boss? Your
Yeah.
mind cannot force it. What to do when there is no intuition, or how to um, speed it up or invoke it? Well, through meditation and giving some space and some time. And generally, another note is that if you are in a messy situation in your head, or emotionally in a messy place, well, for intuition to come, it kind of needs to be a bit cleared. If you're just philosophizing, and you just can't get out of your head, how will the intuition come to you if your head is already full? Or if you are in an emotional mess, and then like, oh, tell me, what to do, if you're in an emotional mess, well, take care of your emotions first, get them cleared, and then you will hear what to do. So set yourself straight first, and make a bit of space to be able to receive something, because you can be either mentally full or emotionally full, and that is not a suitable ground for intuition to come. Yeah, so to invite God for lunch, you need to clear your garden and to clean your living room.